Thank you. Our next question is from Colombia. It is from the Federación Nacional de Comerciantes, known as FENALCO, in the city of Medellín in Colombia.
Muchísimas gracias. Buenos días.
Good morning. Thank you. The current accelerated rhythm of technology favors productivity, but it also generates a tendency to replace people and to lay off people. How can you maintain the flair of the emotional aspect in people when you know that they are up against these realities? Thank you.
That's an excellent question. That is perhaps one of the largest challenges that have faced management since this new economy began to evolve. Whether it is providing a guarantee of job security to certain groups that work on productivity improvements, or assuring retraining, or whether it's a national policy of retraining programs, there absolutely needs to be a partnership between the large organizations who will be experiencing reductions due to productivity gains and their local community, educational community. The answer is retraining. The new economy is driven by knowledge and information, and the heart of that is education. And organizations and societies that wish to survive are going to have to create programs that provide the new learning on a continuous basis.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Brazil. It is from the Pontifícia Universidade Católica do Rio Grande do Sul, which is in the city of Porto Alegre in the state of Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil.
A company, an organization, be to consumer on a global level. Aló, por favor. Can you say it in English?
Give us just a moment. We're doing a translation.
En español. Gracias. A company that is a business to consumer, which has undertaken to work on a global level, what kinds of planning, procedures, and technology and logistics should it have in order to have full satisfaction, full customer satisfaction in the different in the different cultures and countries? Thank you.
That's another really good question and another challenge for internationally driven or globally driven organizations. I can't give you a short answer. The answer, first of all, is to acknowledge exactly what the problems are, whether that may be looking for efficiencies in product delivery or technology delivery across national lines, that is in multiple countries, or whether it is empowering the operations of individual companies on how to deliver their services. Some of the solutions I think we will talk about in the second segment, about getting closer to customers, understanding those customers. One company that I can point to that has done a pretty good job of taking their name out internationally and developing product that is consistent with the cultures in which they're working is McDonald's. And organizations can benchmark with companies like McDonald's to determine the kind of strategy to develop in order to develop the kind of process that they're utilizing today.
Thank you. Now we have another question from Mexico. It's from the Instituto Politécnico Nacional Educación Continua. It's in Mexico City,
Buenos días. Hablamos de la Dirección de Educación Continua. La pregunta es la siguiente.
Gracias. The question is the following. To what degree can you consider benchmarking as a good and supporting instrument or tool for public education, and do you know of any research in this regard?
The answer to that is yes, it is, and has been used certainly in this country, in the United States, by many universities and college systems, doing things like benchmarking registration processes, distance learning investments, a variety of means. I know that UCLA and the University of Washington, for example, I wish I could remember the name of the university, but have worked with a private university in Mexico, or at least have benchmarked with a private university in Mexico. Yes, there are a number of opportunities that can be ferreted out. But I very strongly believe in benchmarking in education.
We have another question from Mexico. It is from the Universidad Tecnológica de Tecamachalco, in the city of Tecamachalco, in the state of Puebla, in Mexico.
Good morning to everyone. Our question is the following. Could you please explain how Europe is applying globalization and what kinds of results they have had up until now in Europe, and the globalization and the multinational situation in Europe?
Well, the European Union is an example of the reality of globalization and of cooperation. Companies like Ericsson, Siemens readily come to mind as organizations that have recognized that their future rests beyond their national borders. And in order to establish those kinds of operations in the United States, in Japan, in Latin America, etc., they have had to reach out and establish operations consistent with the cultures in which they're dealing. At the same time, I know companies like Ericsson struggle with trying to establish standards. And so one of the things that has happened is the whole movement to international communication standards, engineering standards, quality standards as a means of facilitating globalization.
Thank you again from Mexico, from our neighbors in the state of Baja California Sur. We have the Universidad Autónoma de Baja California Sur. It's in the city of La Paz, in the state of Baja California Sur in Mexico.
Buenos días. My question is the following. How can we resolve the problem of contradiction between the new economy and the loss of jobs?
I think you reconcile it by one of two ways. There is a loss of jobs in what we will describe as old economy operations, and there is a growth of jobs in emerging new kinds of technologies. The reconciliation, again, must come with education, with preparing people to go on to do other things. And for some people that may be a difficult transition, but the fact of the matter is when we talk about continuous learning in the 21st century, that is a fact of life. People are going to go through many jobs, many careers, probably in the course of their total working lives. And what will drive that is continuous learning. And our organizations need to learn how to facilitate that, encourage it and facilitate it.
Now from the Dominican Republic, we've got a question from Codetel, which is in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic.
Our participants would like to know if it makes sense to do benchmarking with companies who are not leaders in the marketplace.
There can be some value. Again, the purpose of benchmarking, the established purpose of benchmarking, was to identify organizations that exceed in specific processes and to learn from them on why they have reached that level of excellence so that it could be replicated in our own organizations. To pursue someone who is not a leader in an industry would make sense if you knew that they were a leader of a particular process within that company. As an example, going out and looking at somebody in your industry who has the best billing system, you might look at an organization that is not necessarily the leader in the industry, but they are the leader of the best billing system. Ferreting that out takes some time, but that's what the purpose of benchmarking is all about, to identify process leaders and try to replicate their way of doing things in your organization.
And now from Argentina, from the Grupo Previsional Nación in the city of Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Hola. Sí, bueno, la pregunta es la siguiente.
The question is the following.
Cuando existe un
When
mercado
there is a
con un
market
marcado cuadro recesivo,
with
como el que
it,
tiene
which
hoy
is a
Argentina,
recessive market like the one we are going through here in Argentina
y
right
también
now,
este mercado,
and
también
this
está-
market
hay una
is
falta de
also
predisposición de los clientes
has a
por
lack
la
of
actuación en la venta
disposition
telefónica,
of
por
the
ejemplo.
on the
¿Cuáles
part of the
serían,
clients because the
los mejores
phones are
canales de
saturated, for
comunicación con los
instance.
clientes?
What would be the best channels of communication with clients? In other words, we have phone problems, and so what do you suggest for us to communicate with clients?
Well, I can't recommend facts, can I? I would say we can go back to face-to-face meetings, which were probably always the best way to do things anyway. The other, obviously, would be by writing. Conferences with groups of customers is another way of facilitating your time best. But if you lose the reliance upon telephones and the telephony technologies, then you have to go back to Shanks Mayer. Walk over and talk to your customer.
Thank you for your questions. Now let's move to the second module of our program, in which we will explore in more detail our new management concept, the ETK of client satisfaction.
We have seen that the new economy is really the customer economy. While the industrial age was characterized by a battle between labor and capital, what labor got, capital lost, and vice versa. Now it's labor and capital versus the customer. Customers want more for less, and they want it now. What I want to do in this segment is to consider some new ideas and practices about customer relationship management, today's most common strategy for satisfying these new economy power brokers, the customers. Specifically, we'll look at 3 areas of competence that management must master if our organizations are to be successful. They are the ETK of client satisfaction: emotional competence, technology, and knowledge management. And before we close, I want to share a few thoughts with you about achieving personal success. Let's begin by reaffirming that the new economy is alive and well. It is true that overall economic performance is in a slump, but while we may be going slower, we are not going backward. The world is rife with opportunity, even though change rules the marketplace. Market segmentation, consumer expectations and behavior, distribution channels, and service are all evolving constantly. The only permanent factor is your relationship with your customers. Only the organizations that nurture customer relationships will survive product obsolescence, the onslaught of superior competitors, even terrorist attacks. Many of your organizations, I am sure, already have some kind of customer relationship activity. For those who don't, let me say a few words about CRM, Customer Relationship Management. CRM is a concept that combines an organization's management, technology, and business practices in such a way as to be able to coordinate and improve all the points of interaction throughout a customer life cycle, ranging from selling efforts to product delivery and post-sales support. The goal is to nurture individual customers by enchanting them with quick, efficient, and responsive service, by utilizing information technologies to help gain customer fidelity, providing personalized service, and better acquiring better knowledge about customers.